Hello everyone. I've had a couple requests to go over the die cutting embossing machines that I have. So I thought I'd do that today and maybe give a couple of pros and cons that I like about each of them. So I've got both here. I've got a manual. It's just a Big Shot. That's just got the manual on it. And then I've also got an electric one that's the Big Shot Express. So let me switch to my overhead camera and I'll show you both of these. When I started out using these embossing die cutting machines, I started out with a Cuttlebug, and it was just a little bit smaller than what this Big Shot is here. The base wasn't quite as wide, and so then I found this one at a thrift store, and it was only like $10, the entire thing was, and I liked that it was wider than the Cuttlebug that I had, so I switched to that. Because some folders, some embossing folders, you know, are the nice thin ones, but then other ones are going to be these little bit wider ones, and I was having trouble getting some of these wider ones to fit into the Cuttlebug. So that's why I switched to the Big Shot, and I gave my Cuttlebug to my daughter. But I was very happy with this Big Shot for a long time. It's just got a manual handle here that everything can go through. I like that it goes forward, it can go backward. I loved everything about it, except for the fact that it was just wearing me out. I mean, physically wearing me out. I put hundreds of die cuts and embossing folders through these things, and so my wrist, my arm was starting to get pretty wore out as much as I do it. So then I went to an electric one, and this electric one I have had for years. I was trying to think back so I could tell you how long I've had it. But gosh, I don't even remember. I've had it for so long, and it just works so wonderful. I've put thousands and thousands and thousands of cardstock and paper through these. They've just really worked well for me. When I first saw the electric, I was like, oh, that looks so good. It's a lot more expensive than the manual is, but I thought, man, as much as I'm going to use it. And then I had some gift cards, and I also got it, my husband just insisted, and so I got it for my birthday. So I was just thrilled. Before I bought it, I thought, oh, I'm a little bit eerie because anything that has electronics always sounds so wonderful. And then you get it, and then it seems like little gears break, things. It just, you know probably what I'm talking about. But I can say that's not true for this Sizzix one. This electric one has just been wonderful. If you don't have one and you're interested in either one of these, this one, if you're not going to be running it through lots and lots of cuts, you know, just a few where you're not going to be wearing yourself out, I would go with this one probably because it is cheaper. If you don't use it for a business like I do, this is just probably going to be your best bet. All you got to do is run it through quickly. But if you're going to be using it for lots, or you just like a lot of gadgets and different things, I would definitely go with a Big Shot. Go with an electric one. Now, on this Big Shot, when I went and looked it up, I was going to try to find one that I could tag down below in this video, and it doesn't look like they're making them anymore, and I had no idea. It seems like they've been replaced with one that's called a Big Shot Switch, I think, something like that. But it's still an electric one, and it is still more expensive. But when and if this one ever gives out on me, I will definitely be going to that. So if you're not real familiar with these and you're just a beginner, let me show you a couple things and give you a couple tips that I have learned. One thing that I do with all of mine is I will have plates. I have 2 sets of plates here, and these are interchangeable. Like I say, I just keep this one out now, but I pulled this one out to show you. But they're both interchangeable for this. It's just a standard size. But I will have one for die cutting, and you can tell on these they're all got all the die cut marks on them, and then I use one for embossing. It's just worth the extra money for me. They stay clean, and I'm not getting any of these lines on the back of whatever I emboss. So that's a big thing that I do. Now, there are some things when I'm embossing that I do not like to have the back of the mark on. Let me show you here. Like, I will use this. This is double-sided, and I will make some page tabs with them. And so if you run this through, you're going to end up having lots of little marks on these. And so when I do, I will have another little piece of paper, another piece of cardstock that I'll put behind it, and it's still thick enough that it won't matter hurting going through this machine. So then when it's done, then I'll have both sides of this paper that doesn't have any marks on it. Now if it's going to be like a set of flowers like this that I'm going to be running through, and I'm going to be putting them inside there and then, you know, layering these up and then gluing them onto something, I don't worry about that at all. I just run it right through because you're not going to be seeing the back of it anyway. So let me show you this electric Big Shot one, because that's probably what the most interest is in. If you are more interested in handheld manual, let me know and I could try to do some other ones for that. So let me move this out of the way. And when I looked it up, it looked like that's the Switch one, the new electric ones that Sizzix has. It's basically the same thing, except for it's one where it'll go all the way through. But it's going to be set up the same. So let me show you first on these. But let me grab my other plates because I don't want to mess those up. Okay, so this has got a long one on it, and this part comes off, and then you have your base plate. So this will go on, and the big thing with doing die cutting is just making sure you've got layers for it to work with. Let's go ahead and just do this one here since we have that. It's fitting right on there. I will layer it up, put that one through, and then on this particular Big Shot, you push it and it'll go forward. You can also come this way and it'll reverse. So if you happen to see one of these like at a thrift store or something, you can see then how this works. Or if you find one somewhere that's in stock or someone's selling it somewhere, then you can see how it works. But I think the Switch is basically the same thing. And if you want it to stop, you can just let up on it. So here's when you can run it back through. Usually I'll just pull it around and then use this front and pull these out. So that's how the die cutting goes on that, and then we're left with these pretty little flowers or whatever it is that we want to punch out. So these little, kind of like little nesting flowers are pretty. Oh, let me get it out. And I like to use these on different projects, so you can glue them together and then have a nice set of little nested flowers. Okay, so that's how we do these. These are kind of like the more thinlets, whatever you might call them. And I've got different kind here. There's tags, and of course you can get all kinds, but those are those. And then also you can use through these different Sizzix ones that are a little bit thinner, and then they've also the old school ones, you know, where they're really thick. I didn't pull any out here today, but you can use those really thick ones, and all you have to do then is just adjust your plates. So like here's a heart one that you can run through and just adjust them. Also, while we're on the subject of using these plates like this, you can also go to, and I have seen before, and I did that as well. I went to Dollar Tree before I purchased another set of plates, and I just cut down one of their little mats. And this, you could tell it's starting to get a little wobbly, but I haven't used it for a really long time. But I wanted to show you, you could do that, and that'll help save one of your mats if you want to use, if you just have the two. So that's an idea. So let me move this over now. And I'll just run an embossing plate through here so you can see that. On that, you don't use this one. It's just the bottom base plate, and then I use my two. And let's pick a folder here. And let's just use this one. This one's one of my favorite. And what I'll do when I make these is this is just a 3x6 piece of cardstock that's been folded in half, so then it makes a 3x3. And I make lots of these and sell them in my Etsy shop. And so what I do is open up the folder, and I'll put it right in the middle, And then so I've got part of it on the back and that in the middle, and then I run it through. A lot of times I'll put a tag here, maybe some little hearts, so I'm not wasting a run through, but that's just the way that I do it. And then of course you just go forward with this. And I just pull it out the other side. And we'll pull this open, and then we've got a nice card that's only embossed just on the front side. And that is ready to go for little notes. So that is just about all that I can think of with these machines. If you have any other questions, or you're new to it, or even if you've been doing this for a long time and have some tips and tricks, make sure and leave them down in the comments so other people can see and learn. I love learning new things. So I know there's lots and lots more I could say, but I can't think of it at the moment. So I'll just end there. And like I said, I'm gonna tag the switch one that's available, the Big Shot switch. And this is a Sizzix brand. I don't know if I said that, but I'll tag that down below because, like I said, I think this has been out of stock everywhere, and I doubt they're even making it anymore. But that is it, folks. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Bye.